if you look at what Netanyahu was saying the other day at the United Nations, where he brought this map, and he's saying, oh, the new Middle East, and he draws this line that goes from the UAE through Saudi Arabia, through Jordan, through Israel or occupied Palestine, and then to Europe. And he announced this as a rival corridor, a rival economic corridor to BRICS, and rather more importantly to the New Silk Road. But he announced it at this time because BRICS had just expanded recently. And, as you know, many of the countries that are in BRICS are also in part of the Belt and Road Initiative. And so it's not just Israel that wants this, it's the United States, of course. And, Saudi Arabia is crucial to this endeavor, okay? But now, with what's happening between Palestine and the Israelis, it becomes very, very difficult for the Saudis to normalize ties with the Israelis at this point, right? So both MBS, so Mohammed bin Salman, the Crown Prince, and Netanyahu talked about it at the same time and confirmed that it's in the works. And now it's interesting because I'm not saying it's impossible that Saudi Arabia does it now, but because the whole Arab world is, is shocked by what's happening to Gaza. And actually, I should say the whole world, because everyone except European politicians and American politicians knows what the Israelis are doing. It becomes very, very hard because they would become very critical of Saudi Arabia, especially in the Arab world, if MBS would normalize ties with with Israel right now. And I think the Israelis have a lot on their plate, being taught a lesson and dressed down by Hamas, and also at the same time wondering whether Hezbollah is going to, respond to Israel's killing of 3 of their fighters. So my point is just that the normalization is on hold. Meanwhile, if you look at the normalization of ties between Iran and Saudi Arabia, Yemen and Saudi Arabia, Syria and Saudi Arabia, that has not budged. It's rock solid. Why should it, after all? So this is very interesting. And the Saudis are really kind of in it just to see, what works out. If BRICS and New Silk Road works out, then good for them. And if it doesn't, for whatever reason, and they make this new Middle East, as Netanyahu calls it, he should go back to Europe, work, then also good for them. So the Saudis are really just looking out for their own self-interest. And that's it. That shows you, by the way, that they don't give a crap about the Palestinians. And MBS was saying in the interview with Fox that he's only going to do this. He will only normalize ties with the Israelis as long as the Israelis respect the Palestinians and give them what's theirs, and that the Palestinians are safe and have their own state. I mean, dude, he should look at what the Saudis were doing a couple of decades ago and turn up the heat. If he really supported the Palestinians, he should be turning up the heat on the Israelis and the whole world really right now. He should be cutting oil production to a grinding halt. Zero. Look at what that will do to oil prices. That will give a chilling, reminder and a rude awakening to not just Israel, but the entire West and all these garbage politicians who support Israel unequivocally and unconditionally, as to, what is right and wrong. And maybe reset their moral compass. But no, he doesn't do that, unfortunately. What a shame. In any case, this has not just put normalization between Saudi Arabia and Israel on hold. It has also put on hold the entire economic corridor on which normalization depends, right? So, which depends on normalization, particularly between Saudi Arabia and the Israelis, because the UAE already underwent this process with Trump and the Abraham Accords and so on. So that is good for China as well. It's good for Iran. It's good for the 150 countries plus that have joined BRICS. The New Silk Road, and the new members that just acceded to BRICS. Because the last thing that China wants to see is some rival economic corridor, being built up just for the sake of screwing with them and messing with their plans. Because America is driving this plan and pushing this plan ahead because they just want to screw with the global South. the United States does not profit from this necessarily in any way. It only wants to, achieve a political objective, just like it did with Nord Stream, blowing up the Nord Stream pipelines, severing this economic ties between Russia and Europe with sanctions, and accomplish the same thing between China and this axis that goes from China all the way, Afghanistan, Iran, into Iraq, Syria, and then the Mediterranean Sea and onwards from the Middle East to Europe. So they just want to destroy that, and that's been put on hold for now. So this war now with Hamas, Hezbollah, and the Israelis, or I should say the resistance axis and the Israelis, it has global ramifications. It's very, very important for the global south. It's very important for the future of the world economically and geopolitically. So that is why, that is the only topic that matters right now. Even Ukraine, we stopped hearing about Ukraine for a couple of days. Thank God. Thank God. I was thinking about that, and then I said to myself, well, actually, not really, because a lot of Israelis are Ukrainians and Russians. But anyway, we'll see what happens. It's, no matter what happens, the Israelis lost. The Israelis lost just by virtue of being taken by surprise. No matter how many bombs they drop on Gaza, no matter how many more children and people they kill, or how many people they starve with this Titan siege, they can never erase what happened to them. They can never take away the shame, the stigma, the humiliation that came with Hamas penetrating their piece of shit fence and colonized people rising up from a ghetto against their colonizer. What a victory for the global south. What a victory for Palestine.